We've been talking about electron configurations and how it fits with the periodic table. And of course, it just can't fit quite that nicely. There are some atoms that have irregular electron configurations. They don't do what we necessarily expect them to do. So because of sublevel splitting, the 4s sublevel is lower in energy than the 3D sublevel. We learned that. And so the 4s fills before the 3D. But that difference in energy is very small. And so sometimes we see electrons going into the D instead of the S, or the S instead of the D. This especially happens with the transition metals. They tend to be a little squirrely anyway. Some of them have irregular electron configurations, where whatever principal energy level we're talking about, the S only partially fills before the D that should come after it, or it doesn't fill at all. And so we'll look at this. These have to be found experimentally. You can't just predict them. So these are some of the ones that are irregular. Chromium and copper are the only two that you need to remember. So chromium and copper. So what we would expect for chromium is that it's argon plus 4s2 3d4. So let's I'm going to draw out the valence. Well, not the valence, but the last ones there past the noble gas. And so we expect to see this, because that would be following the pattern. This is 4s and 3d. The energy difference between these two sublevels is very small. And so what happens is that this second electron that we expect to be in the s orbital actually goes over here instead. Let's see if I can do that. So erase that one and put it over here. Now, what do you notice about all of those boxes? They all have one electron, right? So here's 6 guys at the Quantum Hotel, and they've all got their own bed. What we expected was that this one was going to share with the 4s just to save a little money. It turns out the difference in energy, the difference in cost between those two rooms is like 10 cents. So this guy's like, heck yeah, I'm going to pay an extra 10 cents to have my own bed instead of sleeping with this bozo, right? So that's what happens. Now, the more scientific explanation is that when you have half-filled subshells, that's extra stable, okay? And we can't explain to you why that is, but it is. And so this is what we find, is that chromium does 4s, 1, 3d5. So that all of these are going to be half full. Any questions?
Those are the only 5 that are irregular?
These are the only 5 that are mentioned in the textbook. And I'm showing them all to you, and the only 2 that I expect you to remember are these first 2. So let's look at copper. Copper is also in the 4th period there. There's 3D, and there's 4s. And, we look at the periodic table, copper, we see that it's argon and then 9 electrons past that, right? So what we expect, according to what we've learned, is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, wait, it's 11, past 10, 11. That's what we expect to happen. In actuality, though, this electron goes over here. So let's move him. Now that didn't change how many electrons have their own orbital. It didn't change how many orbitals are full. But do you see how that's more symmetrical than it was before? We now have the 3D sublevel completely full, and the 4s sublevel is half full. And so that's a better situation than this one 4s orbital full and that 3D just like almost full. Okay, so this is like, you know, when that tile in the bathroom is just not in quite the right place, and every time you go in there, it bugs you because whoever did the tile stuck it in the wrong place, right? It's just off. And so this is how it actually goes. And again, because there's extra stability when this is full, and that outweighs that one, by doing this, we've got this one completely full and that one half full. Before we had the little one full, and the other one was just like kind of awkward. Another way you could think of this is that there's this Groupon deal at the hotel. And some of those Groupon deals are just a little random, right? So you get a discount if you get this one completely full, right? And so that offsets the increased cost of this guy moving up. Any questions?